Ask it this way. Let me ask it this way. How many people here who were not sure they were going to be able to make it through, but because God is good, you found yourself on the other side of the challenge, maybe a little bit wet from the storm, but in the loving care and keeping of God on the other side? How many people with once had a broke heart and now your heart is healed and you're ready to live a life that you love? How many people here whose children were in situations that you knew they deserved better than, but because they had a praying parent or a praying grandparent, they are on the other side better today than they used to be yesterday? And while you might not be where you want to be yet, say yet. While you might not be there yet, God be glorified, you are not today what you were yesterday. Make some noise if you're grateful because you come through some stuff. If you look like what you've been through, but nobody can tell what you've been through because God picked you up and dusted you off, and now you're ready to walk with your head held high and your back straight, and you got some pep in your step because God brought you from one level to another level. I know there are some people in the room who have something to be grateful for. There's somebody here who the diagnosis said you were gonna die, but God said you would live. There are some people here who have heard you're gonna be just like your daddy and just like your mama, but the limitations of your lineage is not God's problem. There is somebody here who people have given up on you, but God be glorified, you ain't giving up on yourself. And I got news for you. If God is for you, it doesn't matter who is against you, because you and God make a majority, and the majority will roll all the time. I speak healing and life and prosperity for each and every one of you. Open your mind and heart and soul to receive right here and right now. Believe me when I tell you, everything that you need, you already have it inside of you. You just have to know who you are, whose you are, and what was put in you from the beginning. You got something to be grateful for. I know you do. I see it on you. I see it in you. It looks good on you. How y'all doing? Y'all good? Woo! Yeah, all the grateful people make some noise. Only the grateful people make some noise. Yeah, I know it. I know it. I know it. I know you're better. I know you're better. I know it. I see it. I see it in you. You know how I know you're better? Because I'm better. And listen, I'm not tripping when I say this. Man, I was a hot mess when I came up in this boy. I was. But they taught me. This is a teaching ministry. They taught me. Sit down. We're gonna go. They taught me. The beauty of teaching is, if you get the lesson and you understand how to apply the principles of the lesson, nobody can ever take that from you. It doesn't matter what they think of you. They can't take away from you what you know. And so if you know that 2 + 2 = 4, it doesn't matter what your boss says. You can always add up enough about who you are and whose you are to make the numbers work in your favor. because I believe in you. I believe in, more than believing in you, I believe in what's in you. One of the greatest challenges that we face is in being able to understand and believe what we are capable of. If you really knew, if you really knew yourself, if you could really take hold of what is within you, and if you could put that to work without doubting what was possible, you already are unstoppable. But if you would stop stopping yourself, you could absolutely create a life you love rather than having a life that you're just okay with. That's my soapbox. I'm gonna get off of it. That sounds like Nellie P back there. What's up, Nellie P? That's the church mama. That's the church mama. You know, you had to watch it with Nellie. She a curse. In church. I had to stop talking to you, Nellie. I used to be a seller. We had cursed together. Woo. Who's praying? Somebody's supposed to be praying for me. The prayer warriors took a break. Y'all, the prayer warriors took a praise break. They're like, we feeling good, Rev. We gonna pray after we praise. So today we've been talking about for the month of November the power of Thanksgiving. The power of Thanksgiving. Say the power of Thanksgiving. And for about the next 20 minutes or so, this morning, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving and how Thanksgiving relates to growing. Say Thanksgiving. And growing. Because I believe that where you want to grow to and the ways in which you desire to grow are all possible. Where you want to grow to and the ways in which you want to grow, those desires are all possible. It is important that perhaps you begin to embrace yourself as a possibilities thinker. Say possibilities thinker. I can say with absolute certainty, that if your mind can conceive it and you can believe it, you can achieve it. Now that sounds like some Pollyanna-ish lyrical gymnastics, but it's far from that. Because the truth is, whatever your mind can conceive and whatever your heart can believe, you can absolutely accomplish it. You can achieve it. But one of the things that stands in the way for most of us, now maybe not you, but one of the things that stands in the way for most of us is that we don't have any problem conceiving it. The challenge comes in our ability to believe that it is possible. And to quote Reverend Ike, he said it is the belief or the feeling nature that gets the blessing. And so it's not enough for you to be able to see it in your mind's eye, but you have to be able to activate your ability to believe in what you see, because your ability to see it coupled with the belief that you have that you can do it is all that you need to get busy doing it. See, all behavior is prompted by belief. And if you don't believe you can do it, you will play with yourself to do just enough to pretend like you're going to do it. But if you don't believe it, you will not play full out And you'll leave just a little bit of a hatch to escape because you know in your heart you really don't believe it. So all behavior, say all behavior. All behavior is motivated by the belief. Yeah, say that part too. All behavior, let me say it to you this way. All behavior is belief driven. See, if you jump from an airplane, you do so with the belief that when you hit the ground, everything you had intact when you jumped from the plane will be intact when you land. You have to have some incredible belief. Barry, you in the room? You have to have some incredible belief to jump from an airplane. If you are a teacher, you must believe that your curriculum and your preparation has the ability to impact your learner. Because most teachers, whether they are spiritual teachers or public ed teachers, wouldn't dare do that work just for the money. You know the system is broken when we pay teachers less than we pay people who learn from them. You have to believe when you get married. Maybe that wasn't a good example. I got some other stuff here. We don't have to go into that one. No, I just know y'all. I knew I would be able to get that exact response from y'all, and I didn't have to go any further. I know you. I know you. But my point is that belief and growth are both inner processes. It's an inner process. And when we understand that growth is an inside process, it means that we sometimes have to first grow ourselves to the place where we can believe that what we desire is possible. See, sometimes we have to be willing to grow through the small seasons to get to the place where what we see is possible. See, because God can only give you what you have the capacity to receive. And the capacity is not only limited to the way you can receive in terms of how you think. See, God is funny in that he will give you something that you can embrace on the thinking level. But when it comes to what you believe about it, sometimes you have to grow in belief to receive what you have already experienced in your mind. And watch this. If you are not willing to do the growth work from what you see to what you must become, you will become frustrated. Because you can begin to think prematurely that just because you saw it is supposed to be happening. But just because you see it means it's possible, it does not mean you're ready. And so there is a process of bringing yourself to the level to receive. And that process happens in how you believe. You don't have to ever question whether or not you are at the level of believing yet. Never give yourself grief about the level of belief. Because you are where you are. And if it's not showing up yet, it's because you have not yet allowed yourself to get to the place where what you see in your mind, you also believe in your soul. Because when your mind and your soul come together, when the way you think and the way you believe come together, every force in the universe rushes to bring that idea, that dream, that goal, that thought into expression. So if it ain't happening yet, it's because you ain't ready. Stop praying that God will ready you and do the things that you are hearing in your soul to get yourself ready. Because it's not coming, the baby is not coming through until mama is ready. Not to go too deeply into biology, but daddy's role happens on the front end. Yeah? It's the role of the father to plant the seed on the front end. Yeah? But the part of the seed that must be carried for the duration, for the term, that does not happen with the daddy or with the thinking. Say my father is my thinking. Say my seed is my father. Say my thinking is my father. So the seed happens on the front end. But it is once the seed is received that it must be carried to term. Now dig this. Usually when the seed or the belief is being developed to carry to term, there is some discomfort. In order to experience the growth, you have to expect that the body you now have, or the body that the seed was planted in, that body has to be expanded in order for the seed to begin to grow to the place where it can become forth based upon the process. See, the beautiful thing about the divine process is all you have to do is cooperate with it. But if you will cooperate with it, what you will find is that your sleeping becomes unsettled. You will find that your breasts become tender. You will find that your belly starts to protrude. You will find that your appetite is different. You will not be able to tolerate some people that you could tolerate just days before. See, the process of bringing yourself to the place of believing is not an easy one. See, we're frustrated because we think it's supposed to be easy. Now dig it. It can be easy, it can be easy, but when the seed is growing, the seed takes from you what it needs. Oh my goodness. It takes from you what it needs in order to become what it is destined to be. So your doctor will tell you what you need to eat to make sure that you and your baby get the right nutrition. See, sometimes we want to be able to live only on what our old habits were. We want to bring forth something new by staying old. We want to give ourselves a new dream and a new reality, but we don't want to change the level at which we believe it's possible. And if you are not willing to go through the discomfort, if you are not willing to go through the rejection, if you are not willing to go through the they talking about you, if you are not willing to go through the he or she must be crazy, I marvel at the fact that Noah built the ark when it wasn't raining yet. If you are willing to go through the place where you can grow to the belief of what's possible, because over here, the seed only represents, even the seed that's planted only represents a possibility of life without going too deep. And any number of things can impact the degree to which that seed possibility can come forth into full life. Is that right? And so we have to be willing to grow to the place where that which has been planted in our soul, or that which we are pregnant with, we're willing to walk with. Now, let me tell you something about the seed from what I've observed. When you grow, you slow down. The more you grow, the slower you move. See, at this point, you move pretty quickly. See, when you don't have as much baggage, you can move a lot quicker. Do know that the responsibility, say responsibility, the responsibility of believing does impact your baggage. See, because the stuff that you are conditioned with will impact how you believe. You've heard me say it before. By the time we turn 18, most of us have been told no nearly 150,000 times. Here is the problem. The problem is we have learned how to reinterpret that no in the way to say you are not enough. You are not good enough. You are not smart enough. You are not experienced enough. You are not rich enough. You are not male enough, or you are not female enough. You're not old enough, or you're not young enough. See, when you hear people saying no to you, you reinterpret the no as if it is a reflection of you and not of what you need. And if we reinterpret, or if we interpret every no that we get to mean that we are not something, see, all you have to do is look in your dictionary and you will see a difference between no and not. They are not the same. So just because someone says to you no, it doesn't mean that you are not. But when you are pregnant, you have to slow down. When you have, when you don't have nothing, when you ain't working on nothing, you can move fast. That's how I really want to say it. When you ain't got nothing going, you can move fast. When you're not committed to the relationship, you move fast. When you're not committed to the dream, you move fast. When you're not committed to the growth, you move fast. But when it settles down in your soul, when you go from here to here, it slows you down. And it slows you down in part because God needs to give you enough time to become one with that which you are already one with. See, the faster you move from one relationship to another, the more you begin to think that you are all in it alone. But if you will just slow down enough to give yourself an opportunity to realize that everything you need, you already have. If you will slow down enough to give yourself the realization that nobody comes to you to make you something, they only come to you to share their something with your something. If you will just slow down enough, you can give birth to the experience you desire, rather than hoping that you can run to a relationship or run to a new job or run to a new opportunity that you don't really believe in. But you're not the only one. If you're familiar with Moses, when he had just had an experience with God, Moses had just seen God at the burning bush. Remember that? Moses had just heard from God that the place that he was standing on was holy ground. Moses had just not only seen and heard from God, but Moses, when he was being given an assignment from God, was told that everything that he needed would be found in the identity of God. See, it's a heck of a thing when God gives you the divine identity and you still don't believe. And so Moses, because Moses is a lot like some of us, as God is saying to Moses, Moses, I need you to get ready to go into Egypt. Moses says, but God, I don't know if you know, but I don't know if I'm the right one. Moses says, I'm not really all that eloquent. Now, I got to tell you, the thing that fascinates me is he seemed to be pretty eloquent when he was trying to convince God that he was the wrong one. He seemed to be able to articulate his position when he was trying to explain why he shouldn't be the one that goes. He seemed to be able to rationalize why the signs that he had seen didn't make sense, and God was showing Moses that everything you need for every challenge that pops up, for every difficulty that comes in the way, I have a solution for the answer. I am that I am. I will be what the moment demands. So how many of us are making arguments against the good that we say we desire? How many of us can't articulate the vision, but we can articulate why the vision can't be possible? We're sometimes conditioned to believe that we don't deserve the very thing we desire. And in being conditioned to believe that you don't deserve what you desire, it impacts the way you believe. Does that make sense? And so, if the conditioning is setting the expectation, I want to challenge you right here and right now to set some new expectations. I want to challenge you to set some new expectations. Put this in your notes. I want to challenge you to set some of what I'm calling positive expectations. Because in life, you don't get what you want, you get what you are. And if you are caged, if you are someone who is caged, if you are caged, you can only get an experience that's locked down. You may not be caged, but you can tell if somebody else is caged if they continue to bring their past into the present. Caged people have a tendency to tell their story over and over and over and over again without acknowledging how it is they got out or how they got over. Caged people focus on what they don't want. That's why I appreciate, as race drivers are taught how to drive a race car, one of the main things that they're taught is when they come out of a spin, they're taught where to focus. Because where you focus at is where you will steer at. And where you steer toward is what you will hit. So if you are caged and you're focused on your past, I submit to you that you will hit the mark of your past in your present life. And you are so powerful that you will represent a past that you've gotten past, you will represent it in your future. And so you can be the prophet of your own reality. Don't get locked in your story. If you're not caged, you may be comfortable. Comfortable people, not you, but maybe somebody on your row. If you're a comfortable person, know that you have to compromise in order to stay comfortable. Know that you have to compromise in order to stay comfortable. Know that your compromise is a modification on the original demand of what God has put in your soul. See, the compromise allows you to not believe so big. The compromise makes it okay when the universal supply meets the low-level demand. But if the universe can supply at a low level, how come the universe can't supply at a medium level? See, because if God is in the valley and in the mountain, then if he can give you a little bit, then he can certainly make the way for a medium amount. But if he can give me a medium amount, I wonder if I would come up more. I wonder if I could get more if I would come up more. I wonder if a higher state of awareness and belief opens me up to a higher vibration and a higher experience. Because what I can't determine is what's the difference between supply on the low end and supply on the high end. Because it sure looks like he knows how to provide plenty of rain. And it sure looks like he knows how to provide plenty of sun. And what I'm trying to figure out is if there are no limitations in those things, then where are the limitations at in my soul? And so if I can open up the way I think, and if I can open up the way I believe, I can move myself from being a comfortable person to being an increased person. Do you get that? Comfortable people have to put their possibilities to sleep. Comfortable people have to put their possibilities to sleep. Because the bigger your possibility, the bigger your fire needs to be to launch it. And some of us are just at a stage where we don't feel like being fired up about nothing. We just had enough, and enough is enough, and where we are is good enough. And I want to challenge you this morning to recognize that nothing dies faster than an idea that comes into the mind of someone who's close to the possibility. I just want to remind you that the more you say no, the more you're going to get uncomfortable about what you can be doing or should be doing or might be doing. And possibilities thinkers don't compromise because of what other people might say, think, or do. Remember that Eli Whitney was laughed at mercilessly when he showed the first cotton gin. Remember that Thomas Edison had to install lights for free before people would pay for them. Remember that the people who made the first sewing machine, that machine was smashed up by a mob. You might not remember Sir Roger Bannister, but Sir Roger Bannister was the first person to run a sub 4-minute mile. And not only was he the first to do it because they didn't think it could be done, they also thought that there were medical challenges that would happen to someone who ran a sub 4-minute mile. They used to think, they used to believe. They used to believe that your heart would explode in your chest if you ran a mile in under 4 minutes. But after Roger Bannister did it, after the mold of belief was broken that it couldn't be done, all kinds of folks started to do it. So what mold in your soul is keeping you limited by a belief that needs to be broken so that you can run outside of your limited experience and absolutely have a life that works for you? What kind of limited belief do you need to break through so that the healing presence and power that's already at work in you can have its full way and bless every cell, muscle, tissue, gland, and fiber of your being in a new way so that you can experience some new health? What kind of limited belief needs to be broken so that your broke pockets can be filled up to overflowing? What kind of limit belief needs to be pushed through so that the person that's looking for you and that you're looking for can come into your life? What needs to change so that you can go from being caged and comfortable to being conscious? Are you with me? And so as we close, I just got one question for you. Do you believe in you? Because the number one thing that keeps people from winning in this country is their inability to believe in themselves. And so I hear Jesus saying, believe in the Father. Believe also in me. Learn to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself enough to say no to some things that you don't want to do. Believe in yourself enough to say no to some people you need to say no to. And remember that when you say no, you are not rejecting the person, you're rejecting the request. Because every time you do something that you don't believe in, you say to yourself, what you believe is not important. And every time you convince yourself that what you believe in is not important, you condition yourself to learn how to not believe a little bit more. And every time you learn how to believe just a little bit more, or not believe just a little bit more, you make it that much more difficult for your dream to come to pass. So believe in God. Believe also in you. Because when you and God get on one accord, it's got to come through. When you set your mind to receive what God has in store for you, the growth that has been prepared for you, there is nothing and no one that can interrupt it. Prepare yourself for takeoff. Believe in the Father. Believe also in you. God bless you.